So lately, I've been hearing a lot about relationship problems. People have been breaking up. So there have been lots of breakups, there have been lots of arguments, there's been strife, there's been tension, and pretty much everyone's been blaming it on Mercury retrograde. And while that isn't far from the truth, it's also not the entire story. Want to know more? Keep watching and I'll explain all about it. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mel of Divine Feminine Works, and as always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. This channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things that you love, if those are the things that you're interested in or want to get to know more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell, so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it, because this is a pretty intense topic for right now. Relationships are huge. We're still in Libra season. Mercury is retrograde in Libra, and we just had a new moon in the sign of Libra. So there's a lot going on with respect to relationships. But one thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but that I think bears important mention, which is why I'm doing this video in the first place, is that Venus is conjunct the South Node. So Venus is actually the ruler of Libra. So when every sign has a ruler, Venus is the ruler of Libra. And Venus is the planet of love. It's the planet of relationships. It's the planet of the things that we value, such as money, such as luxury, such as art. Venus covers all of that. So it makes sense that we talk about Venus during the relationship season, during a time when relationships are extremely volatile, okay? But I want to take us back a little bit, just a little bit, in order to give you the full comprehensive view of what's going on. So, if you guys remember, at the end of last year, particularly in December, there was something called the Great Conjunction. And that was the conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. Now, at that time in December, they were conjunct in the sign of Aquarius, or they were going into Aquarius. They're still in Aquarius now, but this was the first time that they entered. And this was when everyone was like, oh my gosh, everyone was sort of up in arms. People thought they were going to get superpowers and all of this other crazy stuff. But the main thing about this great conjunction and why I'm mentioning it now is because it's changing how society operates and even what society is. This is important because this is sort of the backdrop to what's going on right now. Society is going through a serious overhaul. Previous structures that we relied on, previous government, previous forms of government, basically how things were in society as a whole has been crumbling since about late 2019 into early 2020. And that means that the things that we relied on, the things that we were comfortable with, the things that we knew and either came to love or hate are crumbling, like I said. And it's giving way for a new society that's got new rules, that's got new values, that has a new way of operating. And this is sort of what's playing out slowly but surely throughout 2020 into 21, into this year, obviously, and into 2022 and a bit beyond, actually. So society is changing, right? That's sort of the macro level view of what's going on. Now, the micro level view is that we are changing. And right now in particular, it's all about relationships. Again, because we're in Libra season. We have Mercury retrograde in Libra, and we just had a new moon in Libra. So relationships are the focus. So first, let's talk about Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde is what everyone is sort of using to blame on their relationships going haywire, okay? So as we all know, and as we all hate, Mercury retrograde is when, things go wrong with technology. It's when sometimes exes come back. All of that kind of stuff. You can read ad nauseum about Mercury retrograde. But here's the thing. Mercury retrograde allows for reflection and remembering. And we're talking about thoughts, right? When we're talking about Mercury. So a lot of us are remembering certain things from our past, okay? This is important because of what I'm about to say, which I'll get to in a second. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so Mercury retrograde is having us remember a lot of things. It's having certain people come back into our lives, whether it be romantic partners, whether it be friends, whether it be co-workers, whether it be family members, depending on where this is all going down in your chart, okay? But that's sort of also playing in the background. So on one end, we've got society is changing, structures we knew are crumbling, new structures are being erected. Then we've got Mercury retrograde, which is like we're rethinking certain things, remembering certain things. Certain people are coming back into our lives. We're starting to talk to people we may not have talked to in a while. And then we also have the new moon in Libra, which just happened last week. Even though it happened last week, the energy is still around and it's still affecting us. And if you remember, or if you watched my video on the new moon in Libra, which you can watch here if you didn't, I talked about how it's about relationship revamps, particularly by trial through fire. There's going to be a lot of conflict. There's going to be a lot of strife, competition, because Mars was conjunct the new moon. So it's almost like purification through fire. Conflict was going to happen, arguments are going to happen, and if your relationship survives, then good, you'll move on. If it doesn't, then you got to let it go and still move on, right? So we've got that. We've also got this upheaval with relationships, and of course the new moon is about giving us a clean slate, okay? So it's about getting us to have a new cycle, to remove the stuff that we no longer need and start new with the things that we want and the things that we want to manifest. And again, this is all going down with respect to relationships. So we've also got that. So we've got three things sort of going on in the backdrop, and I'm about to add a fourth. The fourth is Venus conjunct the South Node, okay? So like I said before, Venus as a planet, ruler of Libra, all about relationships, things we value, money, art, etc. Venus, shortly after the new moon, made its way into the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is concerned with things that are foreign to us, beliefs, faith, religion, different cultures, just different things that are different, things that are outside of our normal purview is what is associated with the sign of Sagittarius. So Venus in Sagittarius is really about appreciation and our relationship to things that are different to us, that are foreign to us, whether that be people, cultures, religions, philosophies. You get the point, right? So we've got Venus in Sagittarius. Now the South Node is also in Sagittarius, and I'm going to do a separate video on the lunar nodes because they deserve their own video in and of themselves. But the quick and dirty on the South Node is that the South Node represents the past. The North Node, by contrast, represents the future. So the past can be karma, past actions, things in the past. But most importantly, particularly in this context, is that the South Node represents things that we are comfortable with. The South Node represents things that we default to or fall back on when we are being challenged. So when we interact with someone new or something new, we can either accept it or we can reject it because it doesn't fit into what is comfortable to us, right? And so when you put Venus right next to the South Node, this is playing out with respect to relationships. Many people have been encountering viewpoints, beliefs, cultures different from theirs with respect to relationships. And they've been defaulting to what they know, which may be their own personal beliefs. I'll give you a perfect example. Suppose you're in a relationship with someone and you two have different religious beliefs. Let's say you're of two different religious faiths. Venus conjunct the South Node, along with the backdrop of Mercury retrograde, along with the new moon in Libra, will probably bring about an argument based on that topic. Maybe there's a specific issue that you are arguing about because you see them differently because of your different religious faiths. Rather than say, oh, your view is different, let me try to understand, or let me at least, agree to disagree. Many people are finding themselves being like, no, this is what I believe. My religion says this. I don't know about that. That's wrong. Like that's sort of this Venus in South Node, Venus conjunct South Node in Sagittarius flavor. That's kind of how it's playing out. And so this is what we're all dealing with right now, which is why a lot of people are having these relationship issues, upheaval, turmoil, etc. Now, this transit, this Venus conjunct the South Node transit, has been running roughly since October 2nd and will continue until October 17th. So we have a good 2 weeks of this relationship, turmoil and all of that stuff. At which point, it's going to be up to you to decide how you deal with it. Like I said, the South Node represents what we are comfortable with. So some people really might just default to what they know, what they believe, and call it a day, right? Others may find that, okay, we may be different, we may see things differently, we may do things differently, but we can still appreciate those differences. And Venus in Sagittarius brings with it a wonderful lesson, and that lesson is universal love. Venus in Sagittarius is all about loving and appreciating what you don't know, the things that are different, the things that are foreign to you. And if you can master that lesson, by the time Venus gets into Capricorn next month, you are going to have a relationship that is extremely solid. Remember I said before, Mercury retrograde, new moon in Libra is trial by fire. If your relationship can stand the heat, then you get to move on. If it doesn't stand the heat, if it doesn't stand the conflict, then, it may be done, may be over. And what's interesting is throughout this 2-week period that Venus is conjunct the South Node, we had aspects to the moon, and the moon is all about emotions. So emotions are definitely running high during these 2 weeks. And that makes sense. Think about it. If you have certain beliefs, you are typically emotional about them, meaning that you are convicted in what you believe. Well, hopefully, right? And when you're being challenged on those beliefs, of course, emotions are going to run high because you feel like you need to defend yourself. You feel like you need to defend your beliefs. Okay. And also Venus conjunct the South Node was also sextile to Pluto, which accounts for the breakups. Pluto is all about transformation. It's all about death and rebirth. So a lot of people were experiencing complete breakups or transformations in their relationships that were very permanent. I mean, it could go the other way too. You could have positive transformation, particularly if you succeed in learning the lesson on universal love that Venus in Sagittarius is trying to teach us. But by and large, the reason why so many people are experiencing breakups is because of Venus conjunct South Node with that sextile to Pluto that just completely decimated certain relationships. Okay. So it's really important that you be present right now in your relationships because there's a lot going on. I mean, just listen to what I just had to say with the astrology. A lot is going on, right? But if you're, like I said, if you're able to learn the lesson that Venus in Sagittarius wants to teach you, you're going to come out of this transit pretty good and your relationships are going to be pretty solid and stable, particularly when Venus goes into Capricorn. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the signs that are going to be affected the most, because like I said, this is all going down in different areas of everyone's life. It all depends on what your particular natal chart looks like. But certain people are going to be affected more than others because of the placement of their natal Venus. So I want you to break out your natal chart and I want you to take a look at where Venus is. If you've got Venus in Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, and if Venus is in those signs between 0 degrees and 8 degrees, this is going to affect you the most because these natal placements for Venus are going to form a very hard aspect to this Venus conjunct South Node transit. So I want you to keep that in mind. If you feel like you're really going through it right now, that's definitely why. So again, check your natal chart to see where Venus is. If you don't know your natal chart, if you need some help decipher your natal chart, don't forget to order a natal chart astrology report from me. Link is in the description box below. So in conclusion, this is not as dire as it may seem. In the grand scheme of things, we're constantly evolving and we're constantly going through cycles where we have, like the new moon where we have intention setting and we have buildup. And then we've got like the full moon where we've got, breakdown and endings. Like that is the cycle of life. And right now we're just going through that cycle with relationships. Like I said in my new moon in Libra video, and I'm saying now again, It's trial by fire. It's purification through fire. So again, if you're able to glean the lessons that these astrological transits are trying to teach us, you will come out golden and your relationships will be much better for it. All right. So stay the course. Try not to get too discouraged if things aren't going your way. And remember, we're all one. Don't let differences fool you. Differences are not a reason to separate or, be on different sides. We can all be different and we're all still one. We can all embrace each other's differences, whether it's different looks, different culture, different caste systems, different beliefs. It doesn't matter. We're all the same. So take that, do with it what you will, and hopefully your relationships come out on top. All right, my loves, that has been this video on Venus conjunct the South Node. I sincerely hope, intend, and affirm that you got at least one important message from this reading. Speaking of readings, if you'd like to book a personal reading with me or order an astrology report, those links are in the description box below, so don't forget to check those out. And while you're checking things out, don't forget to check out my website, check out my social media, and sign up for my newsletter. All 3 links are in the description box as well. My loves, everything I do is a labor of love and comes straight from the bottom of my heart. If you feel so inclined and would like to tip me by buying me a coffee, and tips are always greatly appreciated, I'll leave that link in the description box as well. My loves, you can get through this, we can get through this, and we'll all come out better on the other side. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys next time.